going on, guys? Frankie Trades here, bringing you another new weekly stock watch list. Before we get started, though, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Really appreciate it. But without much more being said, let's go ahead and dive into the watch list. So, as far as earnings week this goes, it is completely dead. There is nothing going on. The only stock that I could see myself keeping an eye out for is maybe Oracle. You got GameStop for all the herbs out there, for all you newbies who like to trade that stock for some reason still. But besides that, it is a pretty empty week for earnings, so it's good for us. We're back to a regular 5-day week. Thank God, because I'm not a fan of short day weeks, less money to be made. So, but yeah, not too much going on earnings week. So let's go ahead and dive right into the watch list, which I'm sure most of you are already wanting and expecting. So, first things first, though, you guys know I got to cover NQ and ES. Now, we are in a tricky area on both indexes. So, going into this week, going into even tomorrow, I'm trying to keep things simple just because we're kind of in no man's land right now. And we're kind of just hovering in between a massive consolidation between 23,000 and really 24,000. So for the meantime, since we are catered closer to the top side, I'm going to be keeping an eye out for 23,900 going into 24,000. Now, obviously, to the downside, I'm not watching anything until 23,000. Like I said, we're kind of in no man's land. There's no reason for me to want to go super in-depth with anything on here when we're stuck between both sides. Like I said, we are catered more towards the upside as well, so that's something to keep in mind here with NQ. Now, if I go to ES, it is the same exact thing going on here as well. If I go to the 4-hour and show you guys what's going on, same exact scenario. We're kind of stuck between the 6360 area and the 6500 area. Now, this is a bigger range, but you can see that this is the bottom of the range where ES has been respecting, roughly within this area. And then to the top side, we have just been struggling to have any strong closes above 6,500 and any kind of continuation. You can see every time we get above 6,500, we always have some sort of sell-off. And on Thursday, going into Friday, we definitely felt that. So going into this week, obviously the downside is really far away. So for the meantime, I'm going to keep things pretty simple and just keep an eye out for if we can have any strong push above 6,500 or any kind of hold above there going into new all-time highs on ES. So next up is the actual watch list. I only have 2 stocks, nothing too crazy going on this week as far as actual good setups, but the only stock setups that I am keeping an eye out for is AMD. AMD's one because this is one of the weaker chip stocks that I've been keeping an eye out for. Had a lot of great moves on Friday, only ended up catching a piece of it, unfortunately, which sucks, but that's what happens when you're a scalper like me. You can't catch the entire move, you can only catch bits and pieces of it. I only ended up catching around 10 to 20% of the move, which I'm sure this is hundreds and hundreds of percents right here, especially on a Friday on AMD. So only thing I'm keeping an eye out for is AMD here on 150, which would be keeping an eye out for the bottom here at 150. After 150, we do have a small gap, roughly $1.50 from 149.34 all the way down to 147.58. Nothing crazy going on at AMD. Again, the only bad part is that this closed right at the level on Friday during after hours, so this could just break overnight and just ruin the setup. But it is something that I'm keeping an eye out for due to the weakness of it being behind all the other chip stocks. Now, this is a weird one. This is kind of a curveball because a lot of people know that I don't like trading Amazon because it's a really inconsistent stock. But this setup is genuinely really, really good. Now, we have a flat top on the daily time frame across 236, and we also have a downtrend. So I have 2 reasons to play this. Is we can play the trend line break going into the 236 flat top and playing the breakout of there. Now, the issue becomes when I go to the 4-hour time frame or below, earnings kind of ruins that flat top. That doesn't mean it's a bad setup, but it is something you have to be careful about because we have traded around this area already. But because of that bigger time frame setup, I think this on the bigger time frame, this does hold more value than a setup on the 4-hour or the 1-hour or anything below, where earnings kind of ruins the flat top for 236. But this is really close. $4 away isn't allowed for Amazon. This could gap up across the market overnight. That's what I'm really hoping for going into the 236 level because this is a genuine, really good setup. Maybe not. Maybe I'm corrected and I stand wrong on Amazon and I go back to keeping this off my watch list, but this is one of the cleanest setups we have across the market right now going into this next week, going into Monday at least, right? So anything can happen over the week, but as far as going into Monday, this is the cleanest and best looking setup we have. So, but yeah, that's about it for the watch list, though. Like I said, there's not too much going on. AMD and Amazon were the 2 best looking stocks I had. Tesla and Nvidia are kind of in no man's land right now. Those are kind of just intraday setup stocks at this point, especially when they keep getting stuck in this range that they've been stuck in for a while. So with that being said, hope you guys enjoy the video and enjoy the watch list. Before you go, though, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'd really appreciate it. With that being said, hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday and have a fantastic week. Peace out.